We're here with Rex Scott, and Rex is running for County Commissioner for Troup County. Rex, thank you for being with us today.
Appreciate you having me.
I'd like you to take a couple minutes and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I was raised in Troup County. My dad, he actually retired from the Grange Police Department. He worked there 32 years, retired as captain. My mom, she was a school teacher in the Troup County school system. Retired there. My wife, Gina Scott, we've been married for 35 years, and we have two daughters, Erica and Emma Grace. We're members of Shoal Creek Baptist Church, where I'm a deacon and also a Sunday school teacher. As far as education-wise, graduated Troup High in 1987. Graduated from LaGrange College in 1992. Began working first job, Troup EMC, back when it was Troup and National Diverse Power. Worked there for about 5 years or so, and then went full-time with Troup County Fire Department. The Troup County Fire, as a fire department, you work a 24-hour, 48-hour off shift. With that, it allowed me to be able to start my own construction company. So the first 20 years I was with the fire department, I was a general contractor, built new homes, remodels, and worked in asphalt, concrete work, some things like that. Then from 2014 to 19, last 5 years of the fire department, I rose up to the rank of captain. There I was EMS coordinator. I basically was a logistics officer, dealt with all of our equipment, trucks, and maintained those. And then from there, I left and went to, retired from there and went to Synergy Security Services, which is where I'm now. I'm an instructor. I'm the training development manager there, and we provide safety and security services throughout the Southeast to schools, universities, businesses, and governments. That's the governments. We do armed and unarmed security, and work with emergency operation procedures and plans for them. So that's a good summary of it all.
A full career, it's still going. So tell us about what led you to want to run for county commissioner and how your experience has prepared you for the position.
Okay.
What led me to it was working inside the county. You sit there, you work, you learn the day-to-day operations, you see how it operates. In that, you can see where it can be more efficient. The thing about that, though, is you move up to the ranks and it gets up, and I've talked to commissioners in the past and all, but sometimes they just don't understand all of the dynamics of what the employee, especially on the firefighter side, EMT side, things. Now, work with other departments, so we work together good, throughout the county, but you learn the dynamics of it all on the inside. But then once I retired from there, I started looking, I said, I'd like to improve that. So now coming back, just for one example, for years I worked with, well, not just myself, but others in the fire department, we looked to raise our EMS services or our medical services through the fire department. For 20 years or so, we've been licensed to be able to provide more advanced level care. But we never could get it over the finish line to get it on the trucks. And these drugs can be anything from used for heart attacks, it can be used for diabetics, anaphylaxis for allergic reactions, for respiratory distress, but they've never made it to the trucks. So I tried, and many tried throughout the years to try to get it there, but I knew from this position, maybe this would be the key component to be able to get it there. So that's one illustration that I would like to push forward on.
Okay. So with that, I'm going to jump into budget question. So with wanting to add services like that, I'm assuming that there is a cost associated with it. So is there, overall, when you're looking at the budget, is there anything that you think needs to be cut and other things that need to be added in our county budget?
As far as adding those services there, believe it or not, it's not a large, and I'm talking a couple of $1,000s as far as that for the actual drug part. We were already trained to that level. Now that you get into some expense on your training side of it, but once you're there, really the rest of it. And we have good working relationships with like AMR and stuff like that. So things work out as far as equipment and stuff like that that makes it more efficient. And that's what it's all about, is working together. That's what we have to do more of, including with the city, county, and everything on emergency services. It's just vital that we do that. Now, talking about the budget. Now, this is one of the things for me that I just want to see a picture of. Now, I've asked people about it for years. Never got a real clear understanding or the best explanation for it. If we use a SPLOST, and when SPLOST first started back in the early 90s, mid 90s, we're in SPLOST 5 right now, so this is the 5th one. We're heading into 2025, it'll go out, and the 6th one will start. Back then, we actually had to buy the general funds, trucks, any equipment, everything like that. Now, there were some donations from private business and stuff, but not private business, but actually like Callaway Foundation, things like that, and they matched us on it. But everything was coming from general funds. Once the state allowed for the SPLOST to be voted on, this took that dynamic out of the equation. We now could buy trucks, equipment, all these things out of, and it didn't come out of general funds anymore. So that should generate more operating revenue. With that, we've been doing it now for almost 30 years. And one of the things that my question was, is it's like when we went to give raises in 2018, we had to close a service down to be able to get the money to be able to do it. And my question was, is if for the last 20-something years, if we didn't have to pay this other out of general funds, where was it going? You know, why are we not better off in the general fund side? This position allows you to research that and find out, and there might be explanations for it, but there also could be some more efficient ways we can do things. So with your question asking how do we do it, a lot of it just looks back is this costing this much? Do we need to put our money a little bit differently? But I think that's the question I want to find out.
Okay, very good. I want to switch and ask you a little bit about some recent votes that took place and what your stance on it is.
Okay.
There was a vote for short-term rentals recently. And with the short-term rentals, they put additional requirements in place that you have to own the property for at least 3 years in order to apply for a permit. And you can only rent the property, if it's approved, you can only rent the property for 175 days out of the year. What is your position on that?
All right. There again, coming back from safety to security and public safety side, I understand times change. I get that. Years ago, that wouldn't have been a kind of a question, you know, but today's time, it changes to that, so you have to entertain it. My stance on that is I went to several of the meetings throughout the last year, and I would see people come in and look for these permits or licenses to run these. And the one thing that I'm definitely against is someone living in Miami, Atlanta, or wherever, never been here or anything. I'm just going to come buy this piece of property, and hopefully in about 60 days I got a permit, and I'm just going to start renting it out. Especially in a subdivision. For me, on the public safety side of things, you're looking at like who's coming in and out of these subdivisions and things like that. Now, with that in mind, the amount of time, 3 years is, you know, a good long time that you invest into the community, I guess you'd say, and I guess you could rent it for longer term, you know, during that time. But at least it makes you kind of buy into the community, get a little bit more understanding about it. But there's always ways to handle things, and I'm one of these pretty much 3 strikes, you're out kind of deal. They did put limitations that you have to follow in each one.
Right.
And I'm a firm believer in that if you break 3 of those or something happens, it's pulled. The reason for that is we're already stressed out on our public safety side. We don't need to keep running call after call after call out there for miscellaneous little stuff like this. And I don't say little when you're living next to it or something
Right.
like that.
Right.
Now, if you're out on 5 acres and things like that, and you've been doing it for, I mean, you got this set up and it's not inside a subdivision and all these things, we're looking, and I guess my thing is that if it's a case by case basis, but when you do one broad stroke of the pen, you know, it's like you're limiting what do we do, and it causes frustration. And I understand the reason behind it. I just believe that if you could look at it at different, I guess, don't look at it just one way, but look at it in other. But everybody has to fall under that criteria that basically the 3 strikes you're out. I mean, we can't keep running calls, and this is from EMS side, fire side, or law enforcement. So my stance on it is, I believe that it can work. 3 years might be a little heavy there, you know, I think within a smaller amount of time, but you would have to have a representative here, you know, that we can get in touch with, or someone could get in touch with on that part. But I'm also, and you know more about this than I do, but the HOAs and stuff,
They should
pretty
be.
much should end that, you know.
If you're in a subdivision and you still have covenants restrictions in place, then it could allow or not allow short-term rentals. Like Bryant Lake subdivision does not allow short-term
Right.
rentals. It's in the covenants restrictions. So if you're in a subdivision and your covenants have ran out, you could have a vote to put your covenants back in place so the people of that subdivision could limit themselves instead of going to the county, asking the county to do oversight over 70,000, you know, well, the whole county, so it's just in the
Right.
county area, but was that 40,000 in the county as opposed to the subdivision that wants it done?
And I'm a firm believer of less government interaction, but like you said, if the HOA could do it, it's just, that would be education toward the different subdivisions. Hey, this is happening. Make sure it's up to date.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and those kind of things. So
But
education.
You're open to reviewing that ordinance.
Right, right. I mean, but real firm on what it says, and we just add a little note. We do security things for event centers and things around, and they give us a list of actually this. If this goes on, it's shut down. And everybody understands that.
Right.
So that's my take on it there.
Okay, and that's a good point. Want to ask you about the privatization of our sanitation. So it was voted on 3-2 and approved. It's been in place not quite a year, and it's going to be up for renewal, or something has to be done. You
Right.
either renew it or continue or look for something different.
Uh-huh.
What is your position on the success or, you know, issues with the private sanitation, and what would you like to see going forward?
And there again, this sanitation, when I look at it, I mean, sometimes people think it just came up in the last couple of years. Sanitation's been an issue for a while. I can remember in my experience of working in the fire department, we used to have to open them up.
If you notice it around a lot of we'd have to compact them some, and then according to the call volume, just got out of hand and we couldn't do it anymore. So that leads back to one of the services that had to be cut, that I was trying to understand exactly the reason for it cutting. That was our manpower for these sites. Now, to get to your question, I just kind of lead up to that, is that it put us in a predicament where it's hard to find. Okay, so I understand the concept of saying, what I was looking at is, why don't you just leave the convenience centers the way they are? If you have a private contractor come in, run the site, and then haul the trash to the landfill. I figured just keep it the way it was and see how the money balanced out. The push for the curbside, now I have it in my house. I can't complain about the service. I mean, I take it up there once a week. It's emptied. I take it back. It's fine. But the push on it and the way it was rolled out to me was not the way I like to see government operate. That's my part there. Now, on the other side of it is the idea of, why did it happen? What caused it? In the city of LaGrange, we used to take it to the landfill there, and the city was sitting there taking sanitation, taking stuff. But they quickly realized that, hey, this is going to fill up fast, so we have to turn around and do something about it. So my question would have been, and it's still this question, and this is where I go to the city of LaGrange and I said, your landfill, okay? How much longer does it have? Because one of the logistics side of trying to get the trash to a landfill. My idea is look into it, talk with some of the city leaders, bounce ideas off and said, how long will that last at the city? And is it worth looking into for the future another landfill? Because if it's going to last 20 years, 25, I don't know how long it'll last, but we still have to prepare, and that 25 years will get here before you know it. So my idea on the curbside, the way it is, I guess it's here. I don't know if it's a 3-year, 2-year. I don't know what the RFP was written for, So I'd have to look at that to see how long it is. But there's other options as we go forward. You can still, if you have to have somebody, take it to a landfill. But I believe our cost and everything else involved, my idea is you can only dump your trash on somebody else so long. And that's what we're doing. We're taking it over, and I'm just waiting to see what some of these other landfills, if it gets like LaGrange, and say, I can't take it no more. What are we going to do, and how much is it going to cost? So those are...
That's a really good point for looking long term.
For the future. Mm-hmm.
But I ask you one more question,
Okay.
and this is about zoning again. A lot of talk about housing, needing affordable housing, and there are people that have brought up that they would like to be able to build in the county on their land, but a small home, less than 1,000 square feet. Do you support people being able to build less than 1,000 square foot homes on their land in the county?
Right, on there, still in the county, we run into the issue of, not all of it, but a lot of it out there, no water, and second time, no sewage. So with that, with the proper still amount of there, smaller homes is another one of those things that's trendy. Not trendy, but it is there. I've been asked about that a lot. I see a lot of them. They're neat looking.
Me personally, I'm willing to look at it as an option to see. I understand from being in the building business, it's expensive. And
Right.
I can understand where they come from on that. Is just being able to afford a house, And I think this county is a minimum of 1,000 square feet.
Right.
And some people just don't need that much room, So on their own land, I have no problem with it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes so that you can close out and tell the community why they should vote for you, Rex.
Well, the reason to vote for me is that I've worked on the county from the inside. I know how it operates. I know where it can be more efficient. I really like to up our services, especially, like I said, on the public safety side. I want to work especially on the emergency medical side, from the fire department, being able to increase that level. Working with the ambulance service, you got to remember the ambulance service has been here a long time, and we keep our population maybe not as far as the count every day, but where the everyday traffic in and out of Troup County is growing, and the call volume is going up. And with that, we just got to catch our services back up to it. Like I said, I've lived here my whole life. I've worked inside the county, and I just like to have an opportunity to work at this level to get some of those things done that I've worked on a long time.
Well, Rex, thank you so much for being with us today. I really appreciate it, and we look forward to hearing more from you.
Thank you.